Hello everyone, so today I'll be going over my week 8 presentation, and this is going to be on adaptations and differentiations lesson plan. And just a little disclaimer, I know that this video is a little bit longer than required, but I wanted to make sure that all the parts that were asked for in the assignment were very thoroughly covered. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to be doing is going over my original lesson plan. This is more of an overview of all the different things that I have integrated into this lesson plan. So the original lesson plan is based on questioning strategies and assessment lesson plan. This is for a kindergarten classroom for the math. And it's the lesson is going over how many ways can we compose the number 9. Our learning goal is that students will further understand composing the number 9 as the final lesson of the unit through critical thinking, thinking critically, questioning, and reflecting. Um, Our learning objectives are students will compose the number 9 with 2 or more strategies. Students will explain their reasoning using complete sentences or visuals. Students will show understanding through digital drawings, assessments, and oral. And then for our materials, we are going to have our 10 frames, a digital 10 frame as well, counters, linker cubes, whiteboards, markers, erasers, the Seesaw app, document camera, Kahoot, iPads, and pencils. So for our anticipatory set, we are going to go over the numbers 5 and 7. How can we make the number 5 using two or more numbers? What strategies helped us the most? That's some of the questions that we're going to be asking our students. Along with that, introduce what we will be finding as many ways possible to compose the number 9. In the direct instruction, we're going to show three different ways to make the number 9 using different strategies. So the 10 frame, the counters, and the equation. We also have embedded questioning, such as Socratic questions. Why do you think two different number sets like 7 plus 2 and 3 plus 6 both equal 9, even though they look different? And then Bloom's taxonomy questions. Can you show me or tell me what happens when you add two smaller groups of numbers together? In the guided practice section, we have 4 table groups with 2 tables using 2 different activities each. Tables 1 and 3 will be doing the activities using hands-on practice with whiteboards, counters, 10 frames, so more of a physical activity. And then tables 2 and 4 are using the Seesaw app on their iPads to draw 2 different ways to make the number 9. After about 5 minutes, our students are going to switch, and then we also have another Bloom's taxonomy question. So what patterns have you seen when you change the 2 numbers, making the number 9? Just some simple little questions to make them start thinking. For our differentiation, I had already integrated just a simple format of differentiation. For our EL learners, we can allow for sentence frames, and for our advanced learners, we can challenge to find 3 numbers to create the number 9. Our formative assessment, our teacher uses a checklist to see what students can represent and correctly explain correct number combinations. Independent practice, the students have a exit ticket. They draw or write the equation, one of the ways that they made 9, and then they're going to explain how they got the correct answer. For closure, we can have a whole group discussion. Why is it important to check your answer in more than one way? Was it easier to use the digital strategies or the physical strategies? And then allows for the students to share. For our summative assessment, we could have a Kahoot, and yeah, that was our original lesson plan. Okay, so for the following, we are going into the differentiated lesson plan adaptations. I'm going to be going over it the stuff that we already discussed, kind of an overview, and focusing more on the differentiation aspects that I added throughout the lesson. So once again, kindergarten math, we are trying to see how many ways we can compose the number 9, and then our learning goal is to students will further understand composing the number 9 as the final lesson of the unit through thinking, critically questioning, and reflecting. So for differentiation, our below grade level students will use visuals and physical material to understand combinations that make a 9. That's our learning goals for them. For our English language learner students, our goal for them is that students will use structured models to describe the combinations using math language. And for our gifted learners, our learning goal differentiation is that we want our students to explore multiple number combinations with more than 2 addends. For our objectives, we want our students to compose the number 9 with 2 or more strategies. Students will explain their reasoning using complete sentences or visuals, and students will show their understanding through digital drawings, assessments, and oral responses. Our materials are all the same, but our support tools is vocab cards and sentence frames for our English learner students, extra manipulatives for our below grade level students, and then challenge cards for our gifted learners. So for our anticipatory set, we want to go over that same thing that we did in our past lesson. So the teacher will go over previously learned numbers such as 5 and 7. We're going to ask questions the same way. How can we make 5 using 2 numbers? What strategies helped you the most? But for our modifications, we are going to have our visuals for our support learners, sentence frames for our English language learners, and prediction questions for our gifted students. We are going to keep doing the same thing as well, introduce to them that we are going to find as many ways possible to make the number 9. Moving forward, we go into our direct instruction. We are going to use the document camera to show 3 different strategies of making the number 9. The 10 frame, so for example, fill 3 dots, red dots plus 6 blue dots, and that equals 9 dots. And then for the counters, same concept, but just more of a physical way to do it with manipulatives. So this can also be done with the counter blocks. 7 counters plus 2 counters equals 9 counters. And finally, our equation, this can be done on their whiteboards or things like that. 4 plus 5 equals 9. Our Socratic questions, same thing as our previous lesson, our Bloom's taxonomy, just the same. For our differentiation, for our support learners or below grade level learners, our teacher can model slowly and repeatedly while using tools such as color coding and allowing students to repeat what we went over. So that helps a lot. And then for our English language learner students, we can speak clearly while using visuals and a simple language. So not being too complex, being straight to the point, and using simple words that they know and already understand. As for our gifted learners, we can ask them direct, higher thinking questions. This is putting pressure on our other students that are not at that level, but by asking them directly, they can still think more critically on the topic. Okay, so for our guided practice, we have 4 table groups with 2 tables using 2 different activities. For table 1 and 3, they're going to have the hands-on practice, as we mentioned, and then the table 4, they're going to have that digital practice with the Seesaw app. Same Bloom's taxonomy questions, but as for our differentiation, it's pretty much the same that we already had. This is the one part of the lesson that I feel like I did a good job in with including that differentiation from the jump. So we have our ELL learners and struggling learners allowing for the sentence frames. So I made 9 by adding blank and blank together, whatever. And then for our advanced learners, for challenging them to find combinations with 3 numbers, 3 addends, 4 plus 2 plus 3 equals 9. And then the below grade level learners, we already have integrated peer level support through the table group. So indirectly, I was already including that differentiation for that section, but being in a mixed table group with different levels of academic proficiency, we could have our students help each other out and ask questions to their peers as well. For independent practice, we have an exit ticket on paper where students will be drawing or writing an equation of one of the ways that they made 9. They're going to explain how they know that their answer is correct. As for our differentiation, our below grade level students can use manipulatives. Our English language learners can have oral explanations instead of writing it down. And our gifted students are encouraged to write down two different ways that they made 9. For our closure section, we are going to have a whole group discussion going over why it is important to check our answer in more than one way, asking them what was the easier way for them to answer the questions, either digitally or physically, and then for our differentiation for that, we can ask simple questions for our below grade level students. For our English language learners, we can allow them to share with their shoulder partner their answer before they answer in whole group. And then for our gifted learners, we can have higher level thinking questions. As our formative assessment, we are going to have our teacher use a checklist to see which students can explain and represent the correct number combinations. For our differentiation, our below grade level students are checking for understanding through oral questions rather than written responses. Our English language learners, we're going to check and track for vocabulary use and comprehension. And then for our gifted, talented learners, we're going to be looking for conversation leading, and peer assistance. For our summative assessment, we're going to do Kahoot quiz. These are going to be visual questions, only 5-question quiz. And then for an example question, it could be which picture shows 9 made with 5 blue circles and 4 red circles. So right there, there's going to be different pictures, and they choose which one matches with what it was asking. And then there's no differentiation in this section, as we're looking to see what the students have progressed and learned throughout the unit or lesson. And then finally, I have my rationale, which is through this lesson plan revision, I was able to really put myself in the role of an educator. Creating this differentiation in every part of my lesson with such a diverse and academically varied classroom was a very good experience. This allows me to think critically of how to make equitable classroom environment where we can ensure growth from every student. I have embraced inclusive practices by integrating modifications and extensions into every part of the lesson so that the students are able to access the math concepts to the best of their abilities. For students below grade level, I chose to integrate a lot of physical manipulatives, visuals, and extra peer support. For English language learners, having language scaffolding and such as gestures and sentence frames help them engaging in the classroom as much as possible with less language barriers. And for gifted learners, encouraging them to think critically through open-ended questions and more complex math problems, we are able to ensure deeper reasoning and knowledge. We are able to see how these implementations are able to promote equity and access through all the different entry points for our learners. This helps our students all grow at their own pace and accommodate their own needs while integrating all the diverse learners through group work as well. Through this course, we are able to really grasp and understand why differentiation and creating an inclusive classroom is so important and will help our learners succeed in our class. Some of the main learning principles from the 8 principles of learning that we learned in this class were principles 3 being student motivation determines, directs, and sustains what they do to learn, as well as principle 8 being learning is a process of making meaning, and meaningful learning happens when students actively construct, organize, and apply knowledge. As educators, we need to keep students motivated by including these positive reinforcements. Through integrating our differentiation, students will see both short-term and long-term goals achieved, not feeling overwhelmed, and to try to stay at the pace of different learners, in which will positively push them to keep growing. Along with this, relating learning to real life connections and tools such as integrating technology as well have been done with the Kahoot and iPads, making students more technologically literate, which is an essential tool. For these reasons, I believe that I was able to construct a very well made lesson plan and will benefit all of my different types of learners in my class, ensuring that they will all learn and grow. Thank you so much.